You are sinking into water so dark that sunlight gave up trying to reach you half a mile up. The pressure would crush you instantly. The temperature is just above freezing, and in this pitch-black, bone-crushing void, things were living. They weren't just surviving either. They were thriving, getting weird, getting big, and getting really, really good at killing stuff. Some of these monsters had eyes so big they could spot a fish from across a football field, and they used them to hunt creatures that had no idea what was coming. Now, the deep ocean is not like the ocean you know from beaches and boat trips. That ocean is a sunlit playground compared to what we are talking about. The deep ocean starts where light gives up, and that happens faster than you might think. Sunlight penetrates maybe 200 feet of water on a clear day, and after that, it just fades. By the time you hit 1,000 feet, you are in what researchers call the twilight zone, and things start to get genuinely strange. The pressure at these depths would kill you in seconds. Your lungs would collapse, your eardrums would rupture, the cold would drain your body heat. And yet life evolved there, thrived there, and got so weird that the weirdest science fiction writers today still cannot compete with what actually existed hundreds of millions of years ago. The deep ocean became evolution's testing ground, a place where the normal rules of life did not apply, and creatures had to get creative or die. Scientists now believe that bioluminescence first evolved in animals at least 540 million years ago. Nearly 90% of marine creatures living below 1,500 feet produce their own light through chemistry that we are still trying to fully understand. This is not some new trick that evolution figured out recently. It is ancient technology, older than dinosaurs. The creatures that first learned to glow in the darkness were unlike anything swimming in the ocean today. But giant eyes came first, and those eyes changed everything about how predators hunted in the ancient seas. Before sharks, before whales, before almost any vertebrates existed in the ocean, there was Anomalocaris. This name means unusual shrimp in Greek, which is a hilarious undersell because Anomalocaris was nothing like any shrimp you've ever seen. It was the world's top predator more than 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period, and it dominated the ancient oceans with a combination of size, speed, and vision that no other creature could match. What made Anomalocaris so special was its eyes. These were compound eyes mounted on stalks, packed with more lenses than most living arthropods have. Researchers found that Anomalocaris had acute vision, the ability to see clearly in low light conditions that other creatures simply could not handle. It could spot prey in the deep darkness where other animals were essentially blind. Imagine being a small, soft-bodied creature swimming in the ocean 500 million years ago with no idea that something with massive bulging eyes was tracking you from the darkness. Anomalocaris was not even that huge by modern standards. Most reconstructions suggest it reached about 1 meter in length, roughly 3 feet, about the size of a large dog. But in a world where most creatures were the size of your thumb or smaller, a 3-foot predator with excellent vision and grasping appendages was basically unstoppable. It was the lion of the Cambrian seas, the great white of its time, except it came along so early that nothing had even evolved to be scared of it yet. Modern deep-sea creatures show us how this arms race continued. Giant squid evolved eyes the size of dinner plates. Certain fish develop tubular eyes that can spot silhouettes against the dim light filtering down from above. The deep ocean is still a visual battlefield today, and the creatures that win are the ones that see best in conditions that would leave a human completely helpless. But some creatures found a completely different solution. They gave up on eyes entirely, and that decision turned out to be brilliant. Some creatures in the ancient deep ocean went the exact opposite direction from Anomalocaris. Instead of evolving bigger and better eyes, they abandoned vision completely, and this was not a sign of weakness. Going blind in the deep ocean was actually a smart survival strategy. Consider Hallucigenia, a creature that lived about 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period and looks like something your brain would generate during a fever dream. Hallucigenia was small, worm-like, with long spines sticking out of its back and tentacle-like legs underneath. When paleontologists first started studying Hallucigenia fossils, they actually reconstructed it upside down and backwards because the fossils were so strange that they could not figure out which end was which. It took decades of study to understand what Hallucigenia actually looked like, and its face was only revealed in 2015 when researchers found exceptionally well-preserved specimens in Canada. Hallucigenia did not have any noticeable eyes at all, and in the deep ocean darkness where Anomalocaris was hunting with its massive stalked eyes, being blind might seem like a terrible survival strategy. But here's the thing, in the deep ocean, eyes are expensive. They require energy to build, maintain, and power. If there's no light to see with anyway, why waste those resources on vision when you could spend that energy on something more useful, like reproduction or finding food? Many deep-sea creatures today show us exactly why blind works. Cave fish that have lived in complete darkness for millions of years lost their eyes entirely. Some deep-sea invertebrates navigate through chemical signals and touch. In an environment where light does not exist, eyes are just extra baggage, evolutionary luxury items that cost more than they provide in return. Hallucigenia and creatures like it were not failed experiments. They were optimized solutions to a specific problem, and they thrived in their environment for millions of years. The real lesson here is that evolution does not always move in the same direction. We tend to assume that more complex and more developed is always better, but the deep ocean shows us that evolution is really about whatever works in a given environment. Blindness was not a step backwards in the Cambrian seas. It was a legitimate survival strategy, and it worked well enough that Hallucigenia survived for millions of years in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. But vision and blindness were only the beginning. The real game changer was something that would let creatures dominate the darkness in ways that neither big eyes nor no eyes could match. Bioluminescence, the ability of living organisms to produce their own light through chemical reactions, first evolved at least 540 million years ago. This is not some recent innovation that evolution stumbled upon. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book, older than most of the major animal groups we know about today. Nearly 90% of marine creatures living below 1,500 feet produce bioluminescence. Think about what that means. In the vast majority of the deep ocean, the creatures you would encounter are generating their own light. The darkness is not dark at all in a biological sense. It's a light show, a constant symphony of glowing organisms communicating, hunting, hiding, and reproducing using light as their primary language. Early bioluminescence probably evolved for simple purposes like communication, finding mates, or illuminating prey. But once this ability existed, evolution ran with it in every direction imaginable. Some creatures learned to use bioluminescence as a lure, dangling a glowing bait in front of their mouths to attract curious prey. Others used it for camouflage, matching the light from above to hide their silhouettes from predators swimming below. Some used it as a weapon, flashing bright light to startle or blind attackers, and some used it for courtship, creating elaborate light displays to attract mates. The Cambrian period was when many of these bioluminescent strategies first appeared. The arms race between predators with better vision and prey with better camouflage drove innovation across every possible survival strategy. If you could see in the dark, you could hunt things that thought they were hidden. If you could hide your silhouette by matching the dim light from above, you could avoid being eaten. Modern deep-sea creatures inherit these same strategies from creatures that lived hundreds of millions of years ago. Anglerfish still use bioluminescent lures to hunt. Jellyfish produce light when disturbed, a defense mechanism that has been around for so long that it predates most modern animal groups. Many deep-sea squid change their bioluminescent patterns to confuse predators or communicate with each other, using light the way we use language. The tricks may have evolved once and then been refined over hundreds of millions of years, but the fundamental strategies are the same ones that worked in the ancient oceans. What makes bioluminescence so fascinating is that it represents evolution solving the same problem over and over in different ways. There is not one optimal solution for using light in the darkness. There are dozens of solutions, each one slightly different, and each one adapted to a specific creature's specific needs. Some fish glow blue, others glow green, some glow red, and the reasons for these differences relate to how light travels through water, how different species see, and what survival challenges each creature faces. But light was not the only way the deep ocean pushed life to extremes. Some creatures went a different direction entirely, and they grew to sizes that should honestly be impossible. The deep ocean did not just produce weird adaptations for sensing and lighting, it also produced creatures of absolutely staggering scale. Some of the largest animals that ever lived did not dominate the land. They ruled the waters, and the biggest ones were not even vertebrates. Jacalopterus rhenanii was a sea scorpion that lived during the Devonian period about 390 to 400 million years ago, and it was the largest arthropod that has ever existed on Earth. Current estimates suggest Jacalopterus reached lengths of 2.3 to 2.6 meters, nearly the height of an adult human. Imagine a sea scorpion the size of a person with claws designed for crushing prey and eyes that tracked movement with absolute precision. And Jacalopterus was not even alone in this size class. Other Eurypterids, the group commonly called sea scorpions, grew to impressive sizes as well, and they dominated freshwater and shallow marine environments for tens of millions of years. The interesting question is why the deep ocean allowed such massive sizes. Higher oxygen levels in certain geological periods allowed arthropods to grow larger than they can today. The absence of competition from large vertebrates, which had not yet evolved, meant that giant arthropods could fill ecological niches that would later be taken by fish and marine reptiles. And the available food sources in certain environments supported large body sizes for predators that could catch and consume big prey. Researchers found that Jacalopterus had sophisticated visual systems that would have been effective for hunting in various light conditions. These were not just big animals going through the motions, they were active predators with good senses and smart hunting strategies. The combination of size, strength, and sensory capability made them dominant predators in their environments for millions of years. Today's largest arthropods are things like giant spider crabs with leg spans of about 12 feet or giant squid that can reach 40 feet in length. These are impressive animals to be sure, but they are dwarfed by Jacalopterus and some of its relatives. The deep ocean today still produces large predators, but the specific combination of factors that allowed Eurypterids to grow so big no longer exists in quite the same way. We're left with impressive survivors, but the true giants of arthropod evolution are long gone. What is particularly fascinating is how these giant arthropods eventually disappeared. The rise of vertebrate predators, including early fish and eventually marine reptiles, created new competition that the Eurypterids could not handle. The environments they depended on changed, and other creatures evolved to fill those niches more effectively. The giant sea scorpions are a reminder that evolution does not guarantee survival. Being the biggest and the baddest for millions of years does not protect you from change. When the environment shifts and new competitors evolve, even the most successful creatures can find themselves obsolete. But size was not the only solution to survival in the deep. Some creatures found a different trick entirely, and it was possibly the strangest one of all. Some creatures essentially became invisible by having bodies that were completely or nearly completely clear. This is one of the most visually striking adaptations in nature, and it evolved independently multiple times in different lineages. The logic behind transparency is straightforward. If you're in a dark environment with predators that use vision to hunt, being visible is dangerous, but if you can make your body nearly invisible, you become much harder to spot. The challenge is that transparency is expensive. Building and maintaining a transparent body requires energy and specific biological mechanisms that not all animals have. But for creatures in the deep ocean where vision-based predation is intense, the benefits of being invisible often outweigh the costs. Hallucigenia and some of its relatives in the Cambrian period showed early examples of this transparent body strategy. Many small creatures from that era had translucent bodies that allowed light to pass through them rather than reflecting off their surfaces. In an environment with just enough light to see by, but not enough to see clearly, transparency provided significant advantages. Predators hunting with eyes had a much harder time spotting transparent prey, and the prey could move through the water essentially invisible. Modern deep-sea creatures demonstrate how effective this strategy remains. The barrel eye fish has a transparent head filled with fluid, and its eyes are mounted inside this transparent dome where they can rotate to look upward without breaking the fish's camouflage. Glass squid have bodies that are nearly completely transparent except for their eyes and digestive organs, which are the only solid parts visible. Many deep-sea gelatinous zooplankton are essentially invisible in the water column, avoiding predators while feeding on smaller organisms. The weirdest part about transparency is that it does not mean the creatures are simple or unsophisticated. Many transparent animals have complex bodies with specialized organs and behaviors that are just hidden inside their see-through exteriors. A transparent body is not a sign of being primitive or underdeveloped. It's a specific evolutionary solution to a specific survival problem, and it has worked well enough that creatures have been using it for hundreds of millions of years. What I find most remarkable about transparent deep-sea creatures is how they force us to reconsider what we mean when we say a creature is visible or invisible. In our everyday experience, something is either there or it is not. But in the deep ocean, the difference between being seen and not being seen is not just about being transparent. It's about how light interacts with your body, how your silhouette appears against the background, and how your movements register in the visual systems of predators and prey. The deep ocean operates by rules that we rarely encounter in our surface lives, and transparency is one of the strangest and most effective of those rules. All of these strategies share something important. They're all still with us today, still working, still evolving, and that tells us something about the deep ocean and about life itself. The prehistoric oceans were not just scary places full of monsters. They were creative laboratories where evolution tested every possible solution to the problem of survival in an environment that seemed almost impossible for life. Giant eyes evolved because seeing in the dark was better than being blind. Blindness evolved because eyes cost more than they were worth when there was no light to see with. Bioluminescence evolved because making your own light opened up new possibilities. Giants evolved because the right combination of oxygen and food could push arthropods to sizes that seem impossible today. Transparency evolved because being invisible was sometimes better than being visible. And the really amazing part is that all of these strategies are still with us today. The deep ocean still operates by the same basic rules it operated by hundreds of millions of years ago. Light still fails below a certain depth. Pressure still increases as you go deeper. Temperature still drops toward freezing. creatures still evolve the same solutions they evolved in the ancient past, because those solutions work. The fact that nearly 90% of deep-sea creatures produce bioluminescence is not a coincidence. It's a legacy, a direct inheritance from creatures that figured out how to make light in the darkness more than 500 million years ago. The weirdness never stopped because the deep ocean never changed in its fundamental nature. It's still the most alien environment on Earth, still a place where our assumptions about how life works get challenged on a regular basis. Every time scientists send a remotely operated vehicle into the deep, they discover something that surprises them, something that seems impossible, until you realize that evolution has had hundreds of millions of years to come up with solutions that we never would have imagined. What I find most inspiring about the deep ocean is that it reminds us that life is not limited to the conditions we consider normal. Life does not need sunlight to thrive. It does not need warmth or reasonable pressure or any of the things we associate with habitable environments. Life finds a way, and the deep ocean is proof of that. The creatures that lived there hundreds of millions of years ago and the creatures that live there today are testament to the creativity and persistence of evolution. So the next time someone tells you that the ocean is just water with some fish in it, remember what you learned here today. Remember Anomalocaris with its giant eyes on stalks hunting in total darkness, 500 million years before sharks existed. Remember Hallucigenia, that strange transparent worm that paleontologists took decades to figure out. Remember the sea scorpions that grew to the size of people and ruled ancient waters. Remember that almost everything in the deep ocean glows, and that glow is older than most life on Earth. The deeper you go, the weirder it gets. And the weirder it gets, the more amazing it becomes. That is the legacy of the ancient deep, and it is still being written today in the darkest places on our planet.